it down. Do you want Maliwan to scrap us?
I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. Walls closing in.
As you can see, Sparrow is grief-stricken by Typhon's death and thus useless to me. An utterly pointless emotion, grief. Nevertheless, if Sparrow is to be of any use, we must memorialize Typhon. Grab those rocket pods I was saving for our defense. I can think of no better tribute than to light the sky on fire.
Now I have to spend an eternity with you!
Come now, it might not be that long.
Really? Why's that?
Maliwan might scrap you tomorrow. Do not forget the detonator, Vault Hunter. Now, I have already determined the optimal place from which to launch Typhon's memorial rocket. Head there now.
So it's called Fire in the Sky. The carrier, the clone uses it well. And the reason why I like it is because the bullets double back and like do double damage.
You will pass one of Typhon's old bases. How sentimental. The last echo logs Typhon ever recorded are there. However, so is Maliwan. You must strike them down and recover the echo logs. Only then will we pay a fitting tribute to our master.
The Brainstormer is also a good weapon for the clone as well, I should say, because it chains to other enemies. So while you're shooting one enemy, it chains to other enemies. So that's how I've played Zane ever since I started playing Zane. I've never really concentrated on using undercover, even though when I was researching Zane, I thought about using undercover, using the barrier skill tree, but I just couldn't do it. You know, I like having both skills available, the clone and the drone, so that's what I've used. He's really good doing the missions, but he's not really that great for in-game with the drone and the clone. I play Amara as well, and you can tell the difference between, you know, both characters. Amara is just a god, and the clone not as powerful, but the clone is a lot of fun. Running around doing missions, even in Mayhem 4, he's not weak or anything. You know, he can kill anything, but you know, farming and stuff like that, like to kill Gigamine. He can kill Gigamine properly and easily, but he's not as quick as Amara. Amara can kill Gigamine in like seconds, and the drone might take I don't know, probably tens more seconds, you know, probably 45 seconds to kill Gigamine, while Amara can kill Gigamine in like 15 seconds or less. It's a little more time consuming to use the drone and clone build with Zane, but it's fun. Just to be able to, like, you're like a captain directing where you want the clone, where you want to place the clone, or where you want the drone to shoot. It's pretty cool. So it's a nice little build, little setup. Unfortunately, I did not really take a picture of my my loadout. It's basically 26 points in the double agent skill tree to get the double barrel, which allows the clone to use your weapon, get a copy of your weapon, and then 22 points left. You put like 11 points in undercover and 11 points in the sentinel skill tree, which I've tried different variations. It doesn't really change much, you know what I'm saying? But put at least 2 points in brain freeze so you can freeze enemies. Other than that, it hasn't really determined my survivability or effectiveness. You know, it's just need to get better shield, and better artifacts and better mods, operative mods to make this build effective. Right now I'm using a mod that puts all its points in the Sentinel skill tree, especially the ability that allows the skills to last longer. So whenever I kill whenever I kill an enemy, it adds more time for them to stay in the battlefield. So that's what I'm using. And I also want mods that have cooldown on them, like 31% cooldown. So right now I'm still on the hunt for a artifact that does 35% more cryo damage, but also has cooldown, and that's a legendary. I have one that's a purple, and I have legendaries that does that do the cryo damage, but they only but they don't have the cooldown. So I've found many legendaries in this game, many great weapons and mods and everything, but I cannot for the life of me find that one artifact that I need. I have not been able to find that one artifact that does cryo damage, 35% more cryo damage, and give me that 50% more cryo efficiency, and also has 21% cooldown, because I need it for my two abilities here, especially the clone, the drone, because it takes longer to come back to cooldown. So I need the 21%, and it's just been the longest ever since the game came out. I've not been able to find a legendary that has a cooldown and has the cryo efficiency and the cryo damage on it. It's just been crazy. But as you can see, the carrier is just an awesome weapon against unarmored enemies. It does well against armored enemies too, not bosses. Like it can kill Gigamine, but like I said, it takes longer than the weapons I have for Amaro that does 250% more damage when I use my action skill. You know, so it is a fun weapon to use. So just to see in the bullets do that, like a hornet's nest, like a bees or wasp effect where they double back and come back, it's pretty cool. This was one of my favorite points when I was playing the normal playthrough, coming through this area on Necker to Fail and killing these things. It was one of my favorite part of the mission. I think I played like in my normal playthrough. I think I took like an hour to get through here, where I just went through and enjoyed every moment of it, killed everything, and it was just so awesome. So to get to partially come back and do a part of it, it was really cool. And especially with this awesome weapon, the carrier, Atlas carrier. And I also have I got a legendary grenade, Merv 6 Merv grenade from Gigamine, because I've been running a 3 Merv grenade for the longest, ice grenade, and then I finally got a 6-part one, a 6 Merv grenade from Gigamine like a couple days ago. So it's been wonderful having that grenade to use. It's my main grenade now for this build, because I've tried many grenades. I have about, I don't know, 70 grenades in my bank right now. And the reason why I collect so many grenades, because I tried to get the perfect grenade for this build. Amara I don't really use grenades when I'm in Amara. I just have a grenade that does 50% more damage for 10 seconds after my action skill ends. So I use that grenade as I equip that grenade, so whenever my action skill ends, my weapon does an additional 50% radiation damage. So I don't really have to switch or swap out weapons when I'm fighting, because my corrosive weapon will also do radiation damage, and if I have on action skill element of fire, it will do fire damage or shot damage if I put that on. So that's why I like the new grenades with the additional damage done when your action skill ends. I love those grenades. So those are the ones I use with Amara. And I just realized that the weapons and grenades in the game are designed for different characters in mind. It makes sense, right? But I never really thought about it that way. I always thought that, hey, if it is a good grenade, I could just use it. But if it says it does 50% more damage on action skill when the action skill ends, yeah, it would be great for any class, but it would be better for classes or vault hunters that have their action skill cooldown real low and they keep using them over and over, versus a Zane with a drone and clone build where the action skill is not. You're trying to extend the life of the action skill on the battlefield, so you want your drone and clone to be flying and be on the battlefield for a long time. So a grenade like that, even though useful, it will only trigger, every minute or so. While with Amara, that ability or action skill triggers frequently, so that extra damage from the grenade will trigger much more frequently than it does with the with Zane.
What'll they think of next? And then we go into the vault, and Lena says, Typhon, come here, baby. And I do. And I ain't gonna record what happened next. She stopped me.
And there it is. He will echo no more. But his loot is yours.
So for me, for the drone and clone, especially for the flying creatures, I wanted to find a grenade or grenades that home in on the target, so I know that the grenades are gonna attack the enemy and damage them, versus a grenade that does damage based on impact, and the clone might throw the grenade but it misses the enemy, you know what I'm saying? But the one that homes in on the target is not going to miss. It's going to track them and surround them and damage them. And so the grenade I have right now, it's a hex grenade. So hex grenades that they home in are perfect. They fly out and they go towards the enemy and they damage them. And
Grouse, Sparrow, if you're listening to this, I croaked. Had to happen sometime, but hey, I lived a full life. I got some parting words for you in the next echo.
I love the which grenade I love? The gas call with the skulls. From the time when they had the those skulls in the game. And I love it. But I couldn't find one that what's it called? That homes in a target. So the clone would throw the grenade and it would go behind the enemy and just land in the distance and don't do any damage, and it just infuriated me.
You made me laugh, and like I always say, a life without laughter, it's like a sky without stars. The galaxy's a dangerous place, and we need more bots like you. So don't grieve. Dance.
Whatever you say, Typhon, I'll miss you. I'm dancing. I'm cry dancing.
Curious. I'm sensing an additional echo log nearby, but it is moving.
So for me, a good build, a good gear for drone and clone build is mods. Is a mod or mods that have cooldown on the as one of the attributes on the mod. 31% cooldown, right? And then artifacts that have cooldown as well. And then you can add cooldown to your skill tree. I think there's a cooldown in the undercover skill tree.
House, you could out-sour a lemon's armpit. Because I designed you that way. I needed someone to push me to survive. But I'm gone now. So go have some fun, buddy. You don't gotta be a lemon no more. Experience joy. Play some games. Go on a trip. Or dance. Just promise you'll take care of Sparrow. He needs you. But you need him too. You're my best buds. Farewell.
Grouse, you look sick. You okay, buddy?
He's gone, and I'll never see him again. I'm sad.
Yowza. Vault Hunter, go assemble the rocket. I'm gonna hug my buddy Grouse. Come here, you grouchy son of a bitch! Grouse is having a tough time, but he told me to tell you to put Typhon's final echo logs in the rocket. Then his legacy will be complete.
I am drowned in emotion. If I were a bird, I would fly into the sun.
Now the detonator, Vault Hunter.
I'm still working on my Zane drone and clone build. I'm still working on it, still perfecting it. It's been a challenge, but it's been fun as well.
Come on out. It's time to launch Typhon's rocket.
Sad.
You heard Typhon. Happiness is survival. So watch this damn rocket or I'm going to kill you!
Fine.
Amazing! Grouse, what the hell? You're still crying!
I feel happy, sad. It is confusing.
Come on back, Vault Hunter. Grouse and I want to thank you in person.
So it was fun using the carrier on those little squishy animals. It was pretty fun seeing them freeze, and it was just awesome using it. But I've had it for so long, and I've used it with Amara, and she's deadly with it, of course, but I prefer my Amara guns, to have that 250% more damage whenever I use the phase cast. And so basically that's my Amara build. My Amara build is just, you know, equipping guns that do 250% more damage whenever my action skill ends. No, whenever I use phase cast. So that's basically all my weapons. And I found a Maggie yesterday that does that. And I have a Cutsman that does that, and Brainstormer, and Killer the Wisp, and a Nemesis. I have several weapons that do that. So this is my build for Amara, a phase cast build to trigger that damage, increased damage on the weapons. And so she's pretty deadly. Zane, with this drone and clone build, I'm trying to find weapons that do 130% more damage whenever I swap with my digiclone. So that's basically what my build is for this. My goal is get cooldown, get weapons that do 130% more damage whenever I swap with a clone, and do cryo damage. Know that they've changed it so that you can do cryo damage against anointed, which was an annoying thing that Zane's best ability was, hampered by the fact that you couldn't harm the anointed with cryo. So since they changed that quietly, they changed it. It's now awesome to run with this grenade. You can kill anointed with cryo, so that's pretty cool. Just cannot find a cryo artifact that does 35% more damage and 50% cryo efficiency, but also has 21% cooldown. I need that for this build. My drone and clone build, I'm still working on with Zane. It's not as good as other Zane builds out there, but it's fun. It's fun to play, so I like it a lot.
But thanks to you, he'll always be remembered.
We will be the stewards of this planet, as Typhon would have wanted.
Take all the iridium. We don't need it.
Now I will have some fun.
I'll put on some music for you. Try it, buddy!
No.
Dancing keeps your gears in shape. It's efficient.
Fine. How enjoyable, somehow. I'm furious I'm enjoying this. But I am. Why can't I stop spinning?